Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. I've been fiddling around today and I thought I'd just pop on and show you what I've been doing. Mr. Jem and I are off on a short holiday in a couple of weeks' time, and I wanted to make myself a little travel journal or folio. I'm not quite sure what you'd call it. So I've been playing around with some card that I've got. And this was a pack of A4 sort of nautical themed cards. I actually picked it up in an op shop some time ago. So anyway, that's what I've been playing with. And sort of the outline of the idea today has come from a lady called Parita Banilla Damon. Now, I don't know whether I've pronounced that correctly, so I will put it in the description box below. She's not on YouTube, but she is on Facebook, and she puts up some great short videos showing different folds and various things. So what I've done today is created, so I haven't followed everything that she's been doing, but just some of the ideas I have picked up and used in here. So basically, I've started with a piece of A4 size card. And basically I've folded it and created a little lip at that end. What I have done, you will see I've given myself a little spine here. We're not going to be away for very long, so I don't need a massive big journal, but I do want something just to write in and maybe be able to stick some photos in as a bit of a, as a bit of a memento of our holiday. So I've left myself a spine here. It's round about 1/4 of an inch. And on this edge, I've really just, I've scored twice, and it's about 1/8 of an inch. It just gives me a little bit of a spine there, just so that it's not a completely flat fold. Now, I will put some measurements in the description box below in case you want them, but basically, you know, fold your card over to wherever you want, whatever feels good for you, and then give yourself a bit of a spine. Now, the interesting thing that I did pick up from this lady on Facebook, Purita, and I'm pretty sure that is the correct pronunciation, is that she started off with some, instead of sewing signatures in, because this is a whole no-sew thing, or can be, she started off doing a hinged pages that fold out. Now, I've chosen to do a couple of these, and again, I'm using the card from the same pack. So you can hear this is it's reasonably sturdy. And what I've done is, again, I've taken an A4 sheet, and if I hold it up against that one, you will see that I've just cut about 1/2 an inch off the long side. And I've done that because I like my pages to sit inside the cover when I make a journal or a folio, so I like a little bit of a gap at the top and the bottom. And then what I've done is I've scored this at 1/2 an inch, 5 1/4 inches, and then here I've gone 1 7/8 inches. And again, I'll put the measurements in below, but in all honesty, you can do this in any way that pleases you. So what you're creating is, this bit is going to be a hinge, and then this is going to be your page, which folds out. And what I've done, because I was using the whole length of the A4 sheet, you could cut it off here, but what I've done is fold it over the edge, and that's going to become a pocket. Okay, so I'll show you. So here's your piece. I've scored here at 1/2 an inch. I've scored here at 5 1/4, and then coming in from the other end, I've scored 1 7/8, and that folds up like that. This is your hinge. These are your pages, and if you choose to fold the end over, it becomes a pocket as well. Now, I am actually going to stitch these on the sewing machine before I put it together, but let me show you the rest of what I've cut out so far. So these are going to go, my spine is here, these are going to go either side of my spine like this, and then they will fold up and open out. Now the other thing I've done is to cut some pages, and this wasn't done in what I saw on Facebook, but what I've done is cut these pages. Now for me, these pages are 7 3/4 inches this way and 5 5/8 this way, and they're scored at 7/8 of an inch. Again, the measurements will be below, but these are just the measurements I've used, that you can make whatever size you like. And what I've done is I've cut a number of pages to go in. Some of them are from the same pack of paper, some are some other scrapbook paper that I had, which is a little bit thinner, and some are just plain paper. This is quite a heavy sketchbook paper. I think it's 160 GSM. And so I've cut a variety of pages like that, and they are all, the hinge is all 7/8 of an inch. I've also got a couple of smaller bits. Again, this was just some other scrapbook paper, which I thought was quite nice. That's a double-sided piece even. So I'm going to have some smaller pages in there as well. And then I've also cut these. And again, this was an A4 sheet, which I've cut into 2 lengthwise. And then I've just turned it into a couple of little pockets, which are going to be sort of flip-flap pockets in the middle. So what I thought I would show you today is how I'm going to put all this together. But before I do, I want a little bit of decoration on the back of these pages, because these, it is only one-sided card. The inside of my folio, the actual cover of the folio, you're not really going to see, and you will see why in a minute when I put it together. But the inside of these you are going to see, because this is going to be 2 pages. So I think what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of stenciling to those, and I am going to stitch along these pockets just because that's something I prefer. So once I've done that, I'll come back on and, oh, I'm also going to stick my pockets down. Once I've done that, I'll come back on and I'll show you how to put all this together. Alright, so as you'll see, these are our 2 main fold out pieces, and I have stitched around them to hold this little, it's not really a pocket, is it, a little tuck spot to hold that down. And I've put some stenciling just to add a little bit of colour and take away the blankness of those. And I've sort of stuck to a fairly sort of muted colour palette. I've gone with the green, the blue and the little bit of yellow. I thought this looked rather like seashells. I don't actually have any kind of sea themed or nautical themed stencils, but anyway, I've got that which looks a bit like shells, and then I've got a couple which are more sort of tropical flowers and leaves, which I thought would also be appropriate. So I've done those 2 main ones and stitched around them. I've stitched around the little, what's going to be the little pockets, flip-flap pockets in the middle. And then, not on all of them, but just on a few of the pages, I've added a little bit of colour as well. So the task now is to build, in essence, 2 signatures. So let's start with 2 piles. So we've got our 2 main fold out pieces. 1, 2. Okay. Now, what I want to do is to just allocate pages to each of those piles. Now I've got another one like that somewhere. There we go. That one over there. One can go over there. And then these are just plain ones. So I think I've got 4 of those. So we'll put 2 in each. Now, as I say, we're not going to be away for long. So I don't need masses of pages is what I'm saying. Right, now I'm going to just maybe alternate. Now, actually, this is a thing to think about when you're cutting your pages, is that if you have directional patterns, you need to think about which way up they go and on which side you put the fold. Now, most of mine are non-directional, but that's just something to bear in mind. And I found with this size I could get 2 pages from an A4 sheet, or 2 from a 12 by 12 sheet with a piece this size left over. So you'll see that's left over from this one. So there was 2 pages here. All right, but as I say, I'll put all the measurements below. Right, as I've been talking, what you can see is what I've been doing is stacking these up with the hinges. Now, I would like this one to be at the front. You can obviously organise these how you like. And then we're going to flick through. There you go, and that one. And in fact, I might swap that so we've got a plain one there. Now, I'm going to do exactly the same. It's our first signature. Oh, excuse me. I'll put a weight on there and just hold it down for a moment. Do exactly the same for this one, but this time the flap bends the other way. Okay, and you can have these bending whichever way you like. You can have them coming this way and opening out like that, or you can have them this way and opening out like that. I'll show you more when we put them in, but this time your hinge needs to go that way, and this is what I was saying about the directional paper. Those two are the same. I'm not sure I want those together. So this one, you'll see, oh no, that can go that way. That's it. I've got that little one there. Doesn't really matter which way up the seashells are. I'm going to slide that one in there. Okay. So, let's put the first one in. I'll come to those pockets in a minute. Now this is all a little bit, I'm flying by the seat of my pants really with this one. The demonstration I saw just had 2 of these in, but I'm wanting a few more pages, so I'm just kind of extending this. Now what I'm going to do, you will see I've got all those hinges folded under there, and what I'm going to do is glue them up to that first edge of my spine there, and the next ones will glue on this other edge, and that leaves that spine in the middle, and that's the kind of space for things to expand as you put things into your folio or journal. So what we have to do is to glue one down at a time. So if we put our pile there and glue. So I'm literally just going to be, this is quite a strong glue, it's sort of the equivalent of art glitter glue. It is called, I'll show you, it's called Tiger Grip. I know that you can get it here in New Zealand and also in Australia. I don't know about elsewhere. Right, so as I say, I'm just butting that up to the first fold. You know, I don't know whether this is going to work. I went, oh, shall I film it? And I went, yeah, I'll show you what I'm doing. Because it's all about having fun and experimenting, isn't it? And trying new things. If we don't try new things, we won't ever know. Now, my kind of sense tells me I need to leave just sort of a little millimetre or so between folds in there. You get what I mean? Do one more and then I'll speed it up a little bit, because you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm lining that up and I'm just leaving, as I say, round about a millimetre. So I'm sitting that fold round about a millimetre in front of the last one, just to give things space to fold. All right, I'll do the rest. So you saw what I did there. I'm going to do exactly the same in reverse on this side, but I want these two little pockets in the middle, and so I'm going to put those in as well. Now the other thing to decide is whether I want this one in the middle or do I want it at the other end like that. And I think because I've got these quite cute little pockets, I'm going to pop it at the other end. So that's my stack ready to go, but I want to add these in, and what I would like is for these, now one is slightly bigger than the other, don't ask me how that happened. I want the slightly bigger one at the bottom and this one at the top. They should just about fit. There we go, and two little flip-flap pockets there. My plan was to put one that side and one this side, but completely forgot when I was sticking them down, so that's okay. We'll put them both this side. So these need to go in first. Okay, so I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to put my pile there, and then I know what order to put them in. So we're going to start off with these little pockets. And this is quite, as I was saying, this is quite sturdy card, so I was quite happy to stitch around this and stitch quite close to the edge. You know, I always think that I like the dangling threads, but then they get on my nerves and I cut them off. Right, I'm going to pop that on there. So again, I'm butting up to the spine of the first one. Come down there, leave a little bit of a gap between them so that we can get things in and out of the pocket. And I will cut a little notch out of that pocket. I just wanted to get them in first so that I made sure the notch was in the right place. Okay, so the next one, and I'm just going to carry on as I did with the first side. is your little folio. So let's have a quick look. So we've got our first page here that flips right out, and we have a little tuck here, and we have some ordinary pages, got our pockets, some more pages, and then again we have a flip out with the little tuck spot at the end, and you could see me deliberating which way to put this in. And again, as I say, you could fold it either way. If you fold it in like that, anything that you've got tucked in there is going to be really quite safe. So I mean, if you wanted to use it for travel documents and things, then they're going to be safe. All right, I'm going to do one last thing today, and that is to do some end papers, because we don't really want to see all this, particularly where the glue's gone yucky like that. So I have cut a pocket, and you can see I've cut this to about the right size. I don't mind the white around the edge there. That's going to be around the edge of my journal, and that I'm absolutely fine with that. So I'm going to stick that pocket in there. But before I do, so that's going to go in there, and on the back page here I have this, which I've cut off. It was the offcut of one of the pages that is in the journal, and I want to turn this into a little belly band. So again, another little sort of tuck spot in the back here. So what I'm going to do with this back page is just to line it with a piece of paper, and then I'm going to pop that in as a belly band. I may cut that down a little bit thinner. I need to just think about that before I stick that in. So I will do both of those things, and that way when you line, and you could put another pocket in here, but when you line these end bits, you don't see obviously all the hinges. Before I do put those in, I do want to think about my closure. I'm thinking of a very simple, because the this wood pattern paper has these little nails in here. I was thinking about picking up on that theme and doing a circle closure with some split pins. And obviously, if I'm going to do that, excuse me, I want to do that before I line the end papers. So I'm going to have a think about that. I'm going to leave all this to dry overnight, and what I will do is I'll pop back in my next video and show you those end papers and the closure, and then we'll start to put a few pockets and tuck spots in, ready for all that lovely ephemera and journaling spots for the holiday. All right, so hopefully that's been interesting for you. A little very simple travel folio that you can whip up. Probably, I don't know, if you allowed an hour, a couple of hours maximum, depending on how much sewing and things you want to do. Really, it could be done very quickly and very simply. As I say, I will put the measurements down below, but you can do this with whatever size you like, with whatever papers you've got lying around. I very often use scrap paper in my journals. This one is a little bit stronger. As I say, I picked up this pack of card from the op shop, and so I wanted to utilise that in a travel journal. But as I say, hope the idea's been useful. You could take it and run with it and do whatever you want. So pop back in the next video, have a look at how I finish this off, and it'll be ready then to put some bits and pieces in. For now, thanks for watching. Lucky Tea and all.